Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the psychology behind people who get angry easily and what's really going on beneath the surface. And I think this is such a fascinating topic because we often judge people who have quick tempers without understanding what's actually driving that anger or where it's really coming from. So if you've ever wondered why some people seem to explode over the smallest things, or if you're someone who struggles with anger yourself and you want to understand it better, stick with me. Because I'm going to break down the real psychology behind quick anger from a deeper perspective, and I promise you, it's probably not what you think or what you've been told about anger. The first thing you need to understand about people who get angry easily is that anger is almost never the primary emotion. It's actually a secondary emotion that's covering up something deeper and more vulnerable. What this means is that underneath the anger, there's usually fear, hurt, shame, or feeling powerless, and anger is the protective response that feels safer to express than those more vulnerable emotions. When someone gets angry quickly, they're not just reacting to the situation in front of them, they're reacting to a deeper emotional wound that's being triggered by what's happening in that moment. And here's the thing, anger feels powerful, it feels like control, it feels like protection, whereas vulnerability feels weak, exposed, and unsafe, so the brain chooses anger as the default response. People who get angry easily have often learned that anger is the only acceptable way to express pain, and they've never developed the emotional tools to process or communicate what they're really feeling underneath. When you understand this, you start to see that quick anger isn't about being a bad person or having a character flaw. It's about having unprocessed emotions and underdeveloped emotional regulation skills. The second thing about people who get angry easily is that they often have a nervous system that's stuck in a state of hypervigilance, which means they're constantly scanning for threats even when there aren't any. This hypervigilance usually comes from past trauma, childhood experiences, or environments where they had to be on guard all the time to protect themselves from emotional or physical harm. When your nervous system is stuck in this state, your brain interprets neutral situations as threatening, and your body responds with anger as a way to defend yourself from perceived danger. And here's what's important to understand. This isn't a conscious choice. It's an automatic response that happens in the body before the person even has time to think about what's happening or why they're reacting. People with hypervigilant nervous systems have a much lower threshold for stress, which means things that might seem small to others feel overwhelming to them because their system is already maxed out. When you see someone getting angry over something that seems minor, what you're actually witnessing is their nervous system reaching its capacity and going into fight mode as a survival response. The third thing about people who get angry easily is that they often have poor emotional boundaries, which means they take things personally that aren't actually about them, or they absorb other people's emotions as their own. When you don't have strong emotional boundaries, you feel responsible for other people's feelings, you feel attacked when someone disagrees with you, and you feel like you need to defend yourself constantly. This creates a situation where everything feels like a personal attack, and anger becomes the way to create distance and protect yourself from feeling overwhelmed by other people's emotions or opinions. And here's the pattern. People with poor boundaries often grew up in environments where their emotions weren't validated, where they were blamed for other people's feelings, or where they had to manage adults' emotions as children. So they never learned how to separate their emotions from other people's emotions, and they never learned that they don't have to defend themselves against every perceived criticism or disagreement. When someone with poor boundaries gets angry, they're not just responding to what you said or did, they're responding to a lifetime of feeling like they have to protect themselves from being hurt or controlled. The fourth thing about people who get angry easily is that they often have unmet needs that they don't know how to communicate, so anger becomes the way they try to get those needs met. When you don't have the skills to identify what you need or to ask for it directly, frustration builds up over time, and eventually it comes out as anger when you reach your breaking point. And here's what happens. The anger pushes people away instead of bringing them closer, which means the needs never get met, which creates more frustration, which creates more anger, and the cycle continues. People who get angry easily often feel like no one understands them, like no one cares about what they need, and like they have to fight to be heard or seen or valued. But the truth is, the anger itself is what's preventing them from getting what they need because it shuts down communication and makes other people defensive instead of receptive. When you can recognize that anger is often a cry for help or a signal of unmet needs, you can start to respond with curiosity instead of judgment or defensiveness. The fifth thing about people who get angry easily is that they often have a deep fear of being controlled or disrespected, and anger is the way they try to maintain their sense of autonomy and dignity. This fear usually comes from past experiences where they felt powerless, where their boundaries were violated, or where they were made to feel small, insignificant, or like their voice didn't matter. So now, even the smallest thing that feels like someone is trying to control them or disrespect them triggers an intense anger response because it touches that old wound of powerlessness. And here's the thing, this isn't about the present moment. It's about all the times in the past when they couldn't defend themselves, couldn't speak up, or couldn't protect their boundaries. The anger is their way of saying never again. It's their way of trying to reclaim the power they felt they lost, even if the current situation doesn't actually warrant that level of response. When you understand this, you can see that quick anger is often a sign of someone who's been hurt deeply and is trying desperately to protect themselves from being hurt again. Now, I want to be clear here. Understanding the psychology behind anger doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or allowing someone to treat you poorly because they have unresolved issues. But it does mean recognizing that people who get angry easily are usually struggling with something much deeper than what appears on the surface, and they need compassion along with accountability. If you're someone who struggles with anger, the first step is recognizing that your anger is trying to tell you something about what you're really feeling and what you really need underneath. And if you're dealing with someone who gets angry easily, remember that their anger is about them and their unprocessed emotions, not about you, and you don't have to take it personally or fix it for them. So that's all I have for this one. If you found this helpful or insightful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Let me know in the comments, have you ever struggled with anger or dealt with someone who gets angry easily? I'd love to hear your perspective and experiences with this topic. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.